Hello, I'm Ellie Hall, and I am going to be reading the first chapter from Designing Happily Ever After. And this is the paperback, but I'm going to actually read from my Kindle. So then I just don't have to fuss with turning the pages. But here it is. And this is a sweet rom-com. And it's the first book in the Home Sweet Home series. It's technically the second book. It's too hard to explain. Excuse me. But anyway, I'm going to skip the dedication. If you get a copy, you can read that. It's dedicated to my husband. And today is Taco Tuesday. And I kind of mentioned in my story before that I'm doing this in honor of a reference in the story. So if you get to that, send me a little comment or message or whatever if you also love tacos. But anyway, well, let's get started. And thank you all for joining me. I see there's a few of you here. It's exciting. I haven't done one of these in so long, so I can do the short form little stories okay, but I'm like, oh. Anyway, okay, chapter 1 of Designing Happily Ever After. And this is Christina's perspective. If you look up the expression hot mess, you won't find an explanation about a warm meal like a sloppy Joe that requires a stack of napkins while eating or a bunch of scrapyard junk blazing under the sun on a summer's day. However, you will find my photo next to the definition. Hot mess, noun. A woman excelling at messology, the study of stitching a life together that at first glance doesn't look like it's in shambles, but if you adjust your gaze, it reveals a dumpster fire. Verb. A woman excelling at the art of messery, the act of making it look like she has it all together, but underneath she is a stressed-out, untidy disarray of chaos. From a technical standpoint, there are various levels of hot messism. I'm talking a rainbow spectrum of disaster. Let's see, there's the hot mess upon waking up in the morning. Coffee is her saving grace. The walking hot mess most days excluding weekends. The A-plus hot mess student who excels rapidly to the top of her class. The superstar who has hot messness elevated to an art form. Hi, Andrea. I'm quickly edging out of the waking hot mess classification because I can usually pull it together before I greet the public. But if I don't put on the brakes, I'll soon have a degree in hot messmanship. Am I winning at life or am I losing? That's the question I've been asking myself a lot lately. 40-something, single, and now living in small-town USA leaves the answer up for debate. You should also know, hot, I am not, at least according to my mother and the few men from my past, unless of course the hot part comes into play, thanks to the scorching southern sun. See, I thought I had this thing called my existence figured out. I'm an in-demand social media influencer and interior designer, but my grasp on my life feels like it's sliding out of my hands, if I ever had a firm grip on it in the first place. If the question, are you winning at life, were on a scale of 1 to 10, the number 1 side would be the #fail category. Lately, for me, it looks like this. Waking up after a close shave with marriage, caked in Cheeto dust in an apartment that smells like a litter box, even though I don't have a cat. My elderly neighbor coming at me with a broom because my eye makeup made me resemble a raccoon. Mrs. What's-Her-Face has poor eyesight, so honest mistake. Packing up and running away from it all, including marriage number 2. Entering a home improvement hostess contest on the HLTV network, but losing. The 10 end of the scale would cover #winning, including long brunches with friends involving nibbles of organic fat-free chia seed yogurt topped with mixed berries, gluten-free granola, and a sprig of mint, complete with a photo for social media, which is a mom-approved meal. Sweaty selfies showcasing glistening abs. To be clear, I've never had abs, plural, never mind a singular ab, but I work out like they'll miraculously bust through my fluffy abdominal wall. Videos of my most recent shopping haul from the latest sustainable, green, and fair trade clothing brands, #paid advertisement, of course. Ending up meeting 3 incredible women and taking a leap of faith in going into business with them and creating our own home improvement show, designed to last. The #lady boss who I'm supposed to be. That's the Christina Cricket Abernathy that I show the world on my @domesticdiva PictoChat account. That's the gal everyone likes, follows, and engages with. Yes, my middle name is Cricket, a completely out-of-character naming convention from my well-to-do parents, but I have an affection for it because in some ways it speaks to the real me, the gal who's slightly less than the picture-perfect version I present to the world. Think of it like Beyonce's Sasha Fierce, but, the opposite. However, lately I feel the need to reassess what success means. All my life, my solution is to go all in with a fake-it-till-you-make-it mentality. If I can pretend that I have my head together long enough, my life will no longer be in shambles. Sound logic, right? No one can see the inner stress and slow unraveling behind the scenes because all I show them are the staged, curated, and glossy PictoChat photos. Bonus, that's all they want to see. At first glance, I thought it would be a win-win. Then why do I feel like I'm losing? The discarded wedding dress in a crumpled heap in my closet? No one needs to know it's there. The lunatic ex-fiancé who won't forget about Las Vegas? That's our little secret. The drawer of unpaid bills, overdue credit cards, and unreturned calls? No one needs to know about those either. I can afford to pay them, but the hot mess thing I mentioned comes into play here. And those are just the appetizers. Overall, I'm not exactly where I want to be in life, except for right here with my 3 new besties at Lady Boss headquarters. This new venture gives me hope that I can get myself on track before anyone discovers the real me. Only, if they could cool it on the chocolate thing for a minute, I might survive this meeting. Don't worry, I'm not some deranged monster who hates chocolate, but long ago my mother made it clear that my metabolism isn't chocolate-friendly, or welcoming of anything involving sugar, fat, or carbs. She had me on Weight Watchers when I was 8. Jenny Craig at 13 and threatened to cut up my credit cards prior to my 16th birthday if I didn't fit into the dress she got me for the party. The only time I eat other yummy scrumbos is if they accidentally fall into my mouth. You know, like the late-night solo date with a bag of Cheetos while binge-watching the latest Netflix series. I can't be a woman of steel all the time. Plus, mega marathons like that require fortification. I must resist. I must resist. In a shrill voice of warning, the words repeat in my head. I take one of those deep, cleansing breaths like my therapist taught me. You okay, Christina? May asks in her sweet voice that sounds like it should be in a Disney movie. Yeah, for a second I thought you were making eyes at those chocolates. Now it looks like you want to murder them, Luella Bell says, referring to one of Rondi's favorite terms. I've gathered it's like big cartoon heart eyes. Rondi is the owner of the Starlight Diner and the woman who's become a surrogate auntie to all of us and maker of said chocolates. If this were an alternate reality, I'd offer her my life savings in exchange for her mouth-watering creations. Flustered at being caught, I wave my hand dismissively. Oh, I was just noting that one of them is in the shape of a heart, I point. That means you should eat it, Camellia says. I must resist. I must resist. Growing up as the chubby girl in the family, I learned the painful lesson that if I want anyone to like me, I have to skip the sweets. At least, that's what my mother told me. The lady boss inside me wants to argue and refute Sylvia Lancaster's harsh judgment of my appearance. But I've never won an argument with my mother, so why try now? Of course, my inner lady boss has an answer along with lines of accepting how I look, loving the gift of this body that God gave me, and a whole bunch of other well-meaning words of wisdom. However, Sylvia's voice is loud in my head. Rondi is still working on getting the form right. I suggested she order some of those silicone molds, Luella Bell says. I guess she wants to freeform them for now before investing until she's happy with the flavors. If you ask me, they're perfect as is, Camellia gestures with a chef's kiss. I wish I could say the same about myself. I don't care what they look like. If you ask me, they're delicious. May plucks the second to last piece from the tin. Aw, thank you guys for all the hearts. Aside from the one shaped like a heart, the perfectionist in me wants to march over to Rondi's kitchen with an arsenal of all the chocolate-making molds and supplies so they can be uniform. But then she'd give me some to sample and I wouldn't be able to say no. Telling the lady bosses and Rondi about my love-hate relationship with all things sugar and fat and anxiety is a story for another time. I open my mouth to get us back on track during this meeting. Camellia cuts across me. Is there anyone you've been making eyes at? After all, you did catch the flowers at the wedding. Suddenly clammy, I smooth my hands down the front of my floral skirt. Today I'm wearing it with a classic white t-shirt tied at the waist. I was going to put on a pair of cute sneakers my mother would say I'm too old for. Instead, I opted for a strappy pair of sandals with a medium heel. I also have a straw hat and coordinating bag. Dressing for the southern humidity is a different animal than Manhattan, even in the summer. Is the AC on the fritz again? Luella Bell's expression wrinkles in confusion. It was never on the fritz. Aunt Fawn had the thing tickled to perfection because it was important to keep the flowers climate-controlled. The 4 of us, Luella Bell, May, Camellia, and I currently occupied the Design to Last headquarters. Formerly, this building housed Flora and Fawn, Luella Bell's late aunt's florist shop. We renovated and are using it to plan... I got distracted. Thank you, Andrea. We renovated and are using it to plan out the coming season of our show. Hash out design plans, and eventually it'll serve as a storefront and tourist destination. At least that's the plan. The Starlight Diner, Rondi's business, is on the left and a vacant building sits on the right. Also part of the plan is to buy it and open a coffee shop and confectionery. Rondi will provide the chocolates and baked goods, but I don't want to think that far in the future. It's hard enough to keep things under control today. Back in college, there was a great French fry restaurant called Fritz in the town just off campus. May says. That one's for you, Andrea. Camellia lifts and lowers her eyebrows. A restaurant just for French fries? Can we take a girls' trip there? It's about 1,500 miles away, so we'd have to plan ahead. Anyway, they had about 20 different kinds of dips for the fries and free ketchup, of course, but I'd always get the flight of 3. Counting on her fingers, she names her 3 favorite sauce flavors. When I left my little suburb outside London and came to America 19 years ago, I fell in love with 3 things: French fries and apple pie. Camellia sighs. I thought you said you fell in love with 3 things, Luella Bell says. That's only 2. Camellia wrinkles her nose and then looks away like she remembers something less pleasant than pies and fries. I take her body language to mean there was a guy involved. Trust me, I know what it's like to fall in love, or think I fell in love, be forced to love, basically everything but experiencing true love. May bounces with excitement. Back during my blogging days, I traveled around the country on the hunt for the perfect chocolate chip cookie. Well, other than my grandmother's recipe, which we lost. A tragedy, if you ask me. Did you find it? Luella Bell leans in, practically drooling. Feeling the hum of my mother's voice getting under my skin, I shift uncomfortably, eager to change the topic of conversation. When I was younger, she made it clear that fuller-figure girls like me couldn't eat anything sugared, fried, or carb-filled. End of story. My heart simultaneously aches for younger me, but cannot figure out how to let go of the hold that old story has on me. I got close. The second best cookie was from a little bakery in Alabama. Sadly, they're closed, but I have the recipe. I've tried and tried, but cannot replicate it. Would you be willing to give it to Rondi? She's a baking unicorn. Luella Bell sings her praises. Sure. Anyway, back to my idea. I won't travel all over the country, but I will find the best French fries in eastern Georgia. Easy, Starlight Diner, Luella Bell and Camellia say at the same time. I haven't had French fries in years, I blurt. The conversation drops off, and they all whip their heads in my direction. Did I say that out loud? 3 sets of eyes bore into me. Christina, is what you just said true? Luella Bell asks in a gentle voice. My throat tickles in a way that warns me against lying. Caught up in my thoughts and my monster chocolate craving, plus the mention of French fries, the confession accidentally slipped out. Oh, haven't been able to. My 3 friends and business partners must fill in the blank of my clumsy sentence with food poisoning because they respond with varying amounts of understanding and pity. The tickle in my throat travels down and lands hard in my stomach. My dietary restrictions have nothing to do with food poisoning. In fact, I've only had a cup of coffee today. I've talked to my therapist about the little lies I tell to cover my tracks. She said the sooner I can get honest with myself about the things that are little to most people but are mountain-sized to me, the quicker I'll be able to be truthful with others, which means I'll be able to sustain real, long-term relationships with friends, and potentially a guy. Not that I want to be involved. Been there, done that, have the wedding gowns to prove it. Luella Bell's smile reaches her golden brown eyes. Camellia blinks a few times as though still processing the travesty of my French fry-free life. May reaches for my hand. In time, I believe you can heal. Of course, she's joking around, being silly about the so-called food poisoning that rids my life of French fries, but the comment goes deeper with meaning because can I heal? Is it possible? I don't want to endure a daily minefield of whack-a-mole when it comes to eating. Usually I start strong but then end up eating something my mother dubbed bad or off-plan. But how can that be when it tastes so good? Moreover, why can't I let myself be bad or go off-plan? These are important questions, but first the meeting because I'm a lady boss and focusing on the project will distract me from my silly problems. I open my mouth again to get us back on track from my battle with food, the war my mother started. I'm an adult woman and understand I ought not to believe everything she said. The wound is deep. Listen, lady bosses, we have a lot of work to do. Have there been any more applicants for Mr. Fix-It? No one compares to Mr. Fix-It. Luella Bell's voice is dreamy with love. The rest of us giggle while she remains in her swoony reverie. They're still in the honeymoon phase, I say with a cynical drop to my voice. May tilts her head in my direction. Does that mean you don't think that level of adoration and affection can be maintained over the lifetime of a relationship? I snort. I know it can't, but that's not going to fix the problem at hand. We have a show that's going live next week, and we don't have an on-site contractor, a.k.a. a Mr. Fix-It. Right. Camellia drops a thick stack of applications on the table. We've gone through these a half-dozen times, interviewed them all, and no one is the right guy for the mansion job. Is that because we're being too picky? Luella Bell asks. You already found your Mr. Perfect, so of course we're being picky, Camellia says. We're not looking for my future husband, I reply. We're not? Camellia asks with an air of disbelief. I cannot tell whether we're still in joke mode from the French fry thing or if they're serious. Christina did catch the bouquet at the wedding, just saying. Camellia, with her long white blonde hair, is gorgeous and ageless like Galadriel from the Lord of the Rings movie. She used to be a model when she was in her late teens. She has something of a regal bearing which lends a certain credibility, certainty, and finality to everything she says in her faint British accent. You've mentioned, I mutter. Do you believe in happily ever after, May asks. Absolutely, but Camellia's voice cracks toward the end. I give a slow shake of my head. I believe in singly ever after. They laugh like I'm joking. I'm not. Ladies, I'm on the no-man plan. I'm career-minded and want to grow my brand. Dating or a relationship would just slow me down. I have time to dominate the world. I do not have time to date. The part I don't say is that historically my only experience is with liars, losers, and cheaters. My love has more than a few dents. My heart is busted, broken, kicked like a can down the street. So I married my first love, interior design, and that's the way it will stay. That's a unique approach. Interesting. Huh, they all say in turn. These three women have become my best friends in the last months, but we're veering too close to personal, emotional territory. These relationships are built on business and have to remain that way. I can't let anyone get too close, otherwise they'll see underneath the at domestic diva perfection is a woman struggling to keep control over her life. Yep, that's me. On the surface, I'm perfectly put together. Below that, I'm a wreck. But if I can resist chocolate and if I can say no to french fries, I can do anything. At least, that's what I tell myself. After Luella Bell's disastrous segment on the Mr. Fix-It search for Miss Fix-It contest, she, May, Camellia, and I could have been fierce competitors. Instead, we became fast friends, mostly bonding over my sordid stories about Beau's previous wife. He's the former Mr. Fix-It on Home and Landscaping TV's I can't say this word, epimic show, and Luella Bell's forever Mr. Fix-It. I should have a sip of water. Sorry. Okay. Beau retired from the spotlight, but wanted a project to keep his talented bride and her three friends busy, which gave birth to our brand new show, designed to last. While HLTV's show Mr. Fix-It, now known as Miss Fix-It with its new host, is on hiatus, Beau's assistant Kim got us started in the business of buying, remodeling, and fixing up unique properties for television. We plan to offer the homes at auction to good causes, kind of like what Luella Bell did with her aunt's old house on Wayfarer Lane. There are plenty of shows that feature your standard single-family detached homes. We're featuring the ugly ducklings, the houses and buildings no one wants, the story of my life. We're in the business of making transformations, turning eyesores into beautiful locations people enjoy, and creating comfort and leisure out of rejections. After being single, as I'd neared my 30s, my mother attempted to marry me off. When that failed, I tried my hand at finding my own spouse. Now I realize that I'm better off on my own. It's less messy that way, and we all know that I need to steer myself out of hot mess territory stat. With Luella Bell as the hostess and coordinator, Designed to Last will partially be filmed live to leverage social media visibility, especially with my massive following, and to keep us current. Each season will have a new project. I'm up first this summer with a Georgian mansion remodel. In the fall, May is revamping a neglected farmhouse that's been in her family for generations, and Camellia, well, we haven't gotten that far yet. One thing at a time, as Meredith, my therapist, tells me. After we realize that I tend to take everything on at once and then pile up a little more for good measure, hence the stressed hot mess. Let's talk about why these candidates aren't a good fit for the project, Camellia says. He was knowledgeable about historic homes. She points at the photo stapled to the application on top. Because he was as old as the house itself. She shrugs like it's no big deal and then points to another snapshot of a middle-aged guy smiling with his mouth closed. I like his beard. You like beards? I make a gagging face. Ew, no, yuck. Luella Bell twirls a loose piece of hair. I don't mind them. Yeah, because Mr. Fix-It's handsome face is beneath it. I shake my head. Ixnay on the eared bay. What does that mean? May asks. Pig Latin, I answer, trying to keep us focused. The best thing about working for myself and by myself was that there weren't any distractions, sidebars, or dumb conversations with chocolate. I mean, about chocolate. No way is that stuff in the tin with its high shine and cocoa scent talking to me. I am not having a conversation with chocolate. Oh, but the sweet things it would say to me if such a thing were possible. Anyway, I don't need that kind of therapist. I'd just rather it not be here, in front of me, within arm's reach, looking all delicious and stuff. My stomach grumbles and I cover it up by coughing, then saying, We can't hire Beaver Man. Beaver Man? May asks. Did you notice his teeth during his live interview? I ask. Camellia waves her hand dismissively. That's nothing that a few thousand in orthodontia can't fix. In a week? I shake my head and flip through a few of the other candidates. Hopelessness grows. We should give the project a name, May adds. I pause on another guy with a beard and flannel, then shuffle his folder to the bottom of the pile. Guys with beards, men who wear flannel, heck, even work boots are a solid no because they can be so disorderly. These are the kinds of people who eat with their mouths open, walk around with their shirts untucked, or track in dirt. We can't have that on my work site. The other three stare at me, agape. I give my head a little shake. Christina, stop narrating your thoughts out loud. Also, don't talk to yourself in the third person. It's been a few weeks since I saw Meredith, my therapist. I should schedule a tele-appointment. The stress of this project and being out of my routine is probably getting to me. To May's comment, I reply, of course we'll give the project a name. I just haven't thought of it yet. Typically, all my interior design projects get a name, a hashtag, and the spotlight on all my accounts. This won't be any different. I speak confidently, trying to convince myself I can pull this off. Okay, domestic diva, what's it going to be? May asks, using my social media handle. I get to my feet, shifting my attention to the whiteboard with the as-is picture from the real estate listing, the plans and elevation, as well as the details for the design-to-last project. I tap the photo with my pen, thinking, this old mansion is my cup of tea. I thought you didn't drink tea, Luella Bell says. I don't. Give me a latte with a double shot of espresso and topped with skinny oat milk foam. Before leaving Manhattan for Butterberry, as the queen of interior design with a highly successful PictoChat account, I was at the center of the world of high energy, high maintenance, and high production quality. Where am I now? The middle of nowhere, and my inspo didn't travel well. The diner next door only sells regular coffee, and they don't even have skim milk. Some days I ask myself what I'm doing here. Then I gaze out at the Butterberry town square, surrounded by trees dripping with Spanish moss. The quaint library, stone church, and kids riding bicycles are like a Norman Rockwell painting brought to life. This town is the stuff of PictoChat perfection. But will it last? Perfection is an ever-moving goalpost, elusive and impossible to grasp. At least that's what Meredith tells me. But I'll prove her wrong. I'll make everything perfect, and then it'll be perfect, and I won't have to worry about chocolate or french fries or my figure. Coordinating accents and pillows and matching colors will come naturally and easily. There won't be worries, distractions, interruptions, or surprises. My anxiety will finally be gone when I get everything just right. That dreaded hum starts up under my skin, leaving me feeling restless and uncertain, despite my ideal surroundings and best friends. Let's go over to the property. Maybe I'll get inspired, I say. And maybe a contractor in shining armor will ride up on his steed with his shield and sword lifted, ready to renovate the place, May says. A shield and sword? Don't you mean a hammer and saw? Luella Bell asks. The two laugh. Then Luella Bell goes abruptly quiet. What? We all ask at once. She shakes her head. Nothing. It was silly. Ooh, she's imagining Mr. Fix-It in shining armor riding up to renovate with her. Luella Bell's brow wrinkles. I wasn't. Her tone isn't exactly one of denial. More like she thought of something else. About the project, maybe. And quickly dismissed the notion. Perhaps she was going to ask Beau to come out of retirement, then thought better of it. I check my PictoChat account and reply to a few comments in response to the hints I've posted about the upcoming project. My audience is pumped, but some have expressed unhappiness at me leaving New York City. There is a direct flight that's little more than an hour between Savannah, Georgia, the nearest city, and New York, so I'll be traveling there plenty for events. As a highly sought-after influencer in the domestic and home space, I'm invited to all sorts of parties, brunches, dinners, charity events, and I have even walked a few red carpets. Luella Bell claps her hands together. Great idea. Let's head over there. I have a stop I'd like to make in that direction anyway. And I should take a few measurements. I gather up my 3-ring organization binder with all my paint and fabric samples, ideas for the project so far, along with fixture, appliance, and hardware inspiration, all color-coded with tabs. I might stay here and work on the website, May says. You have to come with us. Luella Bell's tone starts sharp, then softens. So demanding, May mumbles, pushing off her stool around the wooden table Beau built and dubbed the Lady Boss Command Center. I have something I need your help with, Luella Bell adds. Actually, I was also thinking of staying back, Camellia says. I wanted to make a call to one of the artisans I met at the spring craft fair. I think her textiles would be a nice touch to the boutique when we open up. We'll have plenty of time to do that. I need your help today, Luella Bell insists. But you have May and Christina. This might be a team effort. I tuck my head because Luella Bell wears a look of determination cut with mischief. Then the reason for their apprehension clicks. You guys really don't think the mansion is haunted, do you? May and Camellia nod in unison. Nonsense, these old southern homes just have a lot of character. Luella Bell forces cheer into her voice. That's not entirely true. My grandparents' farm is definitely haunted. At least that's what my brother told us, May says. I am certain it's not haunted, I say. You haven't even gone inside yet, May counters. Last time we were there, it was dusk, and the electricity hadn't been activated yet. I didn't want to fall or bump into something. As we all know, the real estate listing said it was for sale as is. Luella Bell snorts. Come on, lady bosses. I'll buy us french fries on the way back. I'll also see if Rondi has any more chocolates for us to taste test. Standing by the door, a breeze ruffles the loose pieces of my brown hair by my face. I catch a whiff of cocoa. I glance back at the heart-shaped piece of chocolate in the tin. A long sigh escapes. I can't let my self have it. Not today. Not ever. If I didn't know better, I might think this place was haunted too, tormenting me with chocolate. It's designed to last base of operations, and after Beau revamped it with our direction, transforming the place from a dark and dated flower shop to an open and spacious storefront and office, it has a much less spooky feel. I follow the others, and we pile into the SUV that replaced Luella Bell's beloved minivan that she and her Aunt Fawn affectionately called Vanna White, and hit the road. When we reach the intersection to take us toward the mansion, Luella Bell turns in the opposite direction. "I thought we took a left here," Camellia points out the window. I did too, even though I'm still learning my way around Butterberry and Willowworth County. Luella Bell revs the engine. "Right, but I have a stop to make." "Are you bringing us for ice cream again?" May asks, referring to the first day of summer when Luella Bell surprised us with a trip to a creamery at a farm on the edge of town. Of course, I told them I'm dairy sensitive, even though I accidentally got cream in my coffee last time I was at the Starlight Diner and didn't have any complications. But ice cream is definitely off limits. The three of them chat about the delicious ice cream flavors and the ones they want to try next time we visit. As usual, I keep quiet, not wanting to tempt a craving. Nearly 15 minutes later, we wind down a long dirt road edged by overgrown trees. "Luella Bell, where are you taking us?" Camellia asks. "Looks like the set of a horror movie," May adds. Luella Bell stops in front of an intricately designed iron gate and pushes a call button on a keypad. Think of it as a surprise. The four of us are close, but there are a few things they don't know about me. One of them is that I don't like surprises. Not at all. The uncomfortable humming under my skin sends my thoughts spiraling, threatening an internal tornado. I shift with discomfort, but play it off like I'm adjusting my skirt and wish there was something I could do, instead of the long list of things I can't do. Eat chocolate, fries, date, etc., to make it stop. And that is the end of chapter 1, the long one. But we are going to meet Buck in the next chapter, so if you want to keep reading, you can grab your copy of Designing Happily Ever After. It is a sort of a slow burn, enemies to love romance, sweet romance, rom-com, and I hope you enjoyed that little teaser, first chapters, Teaser Tuesday, and thank you for joining me, and I'm going to save this, so if you're just kind of catching the end, you can pick up at the beginning, and I think I'll probably try and put it on Facebook and YouTube too. So again, thank you all for joining me, and I hope you read Christina and Buck's story and find out what happens, because there are tacos, there is a lot of chocolate eaten, it all works out. The no man plan, well, I'll let you, I'll just leave you with that. All right, thanks again.